So I just watched Dune, and I'm honestly blown away. Denis Villeneuve managed to craft a story that feels grand and epic in every way. This review will be completely spoiler-free because, well, it's not out in a lot of places, but I'm just gonna dive into it. Visually, this film is pure perfection. I went into this thinking it would have a lot of CGI and just end up being visually stale, but it was far from that. When the film uses CGI, it looks absolutely amazing, and Villeneuve's directing is absolutely perfect. Every shot serves to tell you something, and it feels like it all matters. The action looks incredible, and it's easy to see what's happening. Usually films like this suffer from either A, the action looking generic, or B, you just can't tell what the hell is happening in the scene. But this film suffers none of those problems. It's clear and unique. It doesn't feel like another action blockbuster with tons of CGI, unlike the MCU. The film doesn't rely on CGI too much to the point where it becomes obnoxious. There's just enough to make it all seem real. The acting is also absolutely incredible, especially Timothee Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson. They both put fantastic performances that make the characters more likable. Oscar Isaac also does a great job. Jason Momoa's performance is probably the weakest one from the cast, but he still puts on a good performance that suits his character. The character writing is also fantastic. I found myself caring for Paul, Leto, Duncan, and Jessica due to how well written they were. Their interactions feel real, and I like seeing good relationships between parent and son in movies for once. This universe that the characters live in is also extremely well developed. The lines of exposition are dropped in just the right places so that it doesn't seem cluttered and in your face. It's confusing at first, but you start to learn more about everything until you're pretty much an expert. Every place seems real and every bit of lore fits and it's interesting. You keep wanting to learn more about every single place. The world building is so amazing, immersing, and well done that you pretty much feel like you're in it yourself. You learn the politics, the different houses, and more. It never stops being interesting, and the beautiful shots make it so that you're even more immersed. Besides the world being interesting, the plot is as well. It's completely shrouded in mystery, so you don't know what's going to happen. And once the story starts to kick in around 15 to 20 minutes, then it never stops. You're on a roller coaster for the next 2 hours and it never gives you a break. You're on the edge of your seat all the way through and the mysteriousness adds to it. The unanswered questions keep piling up and you're just begging for answers. The shots and editing can get pretty trippy in some scenes, which add even more to the tenseness of the film. Okay, it's time to get something off my chest. Now we're going to talk about just one small, extremely tiny issue, the villains. Now usually I bump down points for bad villain work, but it's not even that they don't have any personality. I feel like they were supposed to be, like an emission of fear instead of be real characters. The film uses this well, that you really feel like fear, at least now. During the film I was pretty unsure, but it's done subtly, and looking back on it, I can see how the film used the villains well. Their design is pretty dull though, which is the minor issue. They felt like Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy, but if he was meant to symbolize something else. So I'm getting close to reaching my limit of how much I can say without spoiling stuff, so I'm going to finish off with one last love letter to this film. This really exceeded my expectations. Denis Villeneuve managed to craft a story that feels so real, while also being about sandworms and intergalactic spice harvesting. He managed to craft such a beautiful film, naming every shot and really emphasizing the scope of everything. He managed to craft a film about politics, family, greed, and fear. He managed to craft a film that feels grand in every way, a film that feels like a love letter to sci-fi and a pure masterpiece. It's not quite perfect, but it's so close. So I'm going to break the rules and give this a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you, Mr. Villeneuve, for making this beautiful film.